Hey, so in this video I'll be doing a Easter egg predictions like I've been doing the past couple weeks. Uh, and the biggest thing that was actually in this episode was the Ghost Rider origins, which actually is very close to who he is and what it would happen in the comics, with little changes here and there, but it's pretty accurate as far as I could tell. Because I've said multiple times, I don't read comics, but in this version of the origin story, he steals a car. He gets gunned down, is killed, and is brought back to life by an outside force. So that pretty much sounds exactly like what happened, what I mentioned in mentioned a couple episodes ago with the Pet Cemetery book Easter egg, which also is referencing Ghost Rider's origins from the comics, and this is close to what happens in the comics. And what they did really was give Eli be the indirect link to both events of Gabe being in a wheelchair and Robbie being Ghost Rider, because in the comics, Eli was actually a very evil person. Even though he's evil in this show now, he's actually very evil from the start, and he was the direct link to both events. But in this show, he was the indirect. He actually cared for Robbie and Gabe, but he did cause the car accident, being gunned down and causing Gabe to be in a wheelchair, and caused Robbie to be dead and become Ghost Rider. So it's nice that they're doing that kind of link there. But also that they finally confirmed that Ghost Johnny Blaze is actually in this universe, like they did before. But one of the people that works on Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually said, was asked about Johnny Blaze. Is there anything going to come up about this character? Because it was a reference a couple episodes back that saying that there was actually a poster and a poster jacket and a motorcycle and stuff like that was referencing Johnny Blaze. But this person that works on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. basically said, no, it's just an Easter egg, nothing about it. So it was basically saying that they were trying to take us off the track, and so we would be more surprised. Which, it's nice that they're actually bringing Johnny Blaze into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well, because he actually does have a link to Robbie Reyes from the comics, even though their connection is a lot different than what they did in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but somewhat similar. But hopefully he comes back down the road and actually explores Johnny Blaze and the dynamic to Robbie Reyes down the line. Not anytime soon, but still. And the biggest thing was connecting Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. to the broader universe, and they did that by bringing references to Agent Carter, which it was sadly canceled. Which I actually really like the show, and I really hope that they can find a way to actually answer the questions in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. what exactly happened, because they left on a cliffhanger. So, but they were referencing Zero Matter, Dark Force, SSR, Isodyne, Roxxon, and even had a deja vu scene at the very end of this episode. Which in the episode of Agent Carter, Peggy Carter was outside, and two people were inside fighting, and an explosion happened and causing one person to get powers and the other person to disappear, and then Peggy Carter would run in and see what happened, which that's what happened here. Fitz, Robbie, and Coulson all disappeared, while Eli gets powers, and the rest of the team is running in to see what happened. So it's nice that they're connecting that little stuff there. Uh, and then I don't read or don't watch. I've never watched Star Wars. I've tried to, but I can't. But so I don't know this. A lot of the references that they were talking about flew over my head that much. Like not that much, but they explained what they were talking about. Like they were talking about Han Solo, how he's not a hero and he's a rebel, and Admiral Akbar is the unsung hero. I and then they were talking about how Coulson sees Shield as the Empire, which yeah, that is true. Even though Coulson doesn't want to admit it, he is acting like the rebel. He is acting like a rebel and fighting against Shield. Even though he doesn't want to admit it and doesn't see it that way, he is fighting Shield as Shield is the bad people. Like he's not bringing in the new director in any of his missions. Doesn't want to say anything like that. Say anything about it. But that is one of the worst things you could do if you want to be a team player and everything like that. You have to bring in the new director, even if you don't trust him. You want what's best for your organization. But they're basically trying to like say he doesn't trust the new director and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Coulson sees the new director and Shield as the Empire, even though he doesn't want to admit it. Yeah. Then there were like little hints to like things from it could have been like a TV show reference, but in the flashback with the scientists, they were saying that they were talking about quantum, and then like a sentence later they said leap. So it's possible they were referencing the show Quantum Leap. I'm not exactly sure, but they could have been. And then Fitz mentions a snark hunt, which if you don't know what that is, I looked it up, and it's actually a poem. Pretty much exactly what Fitz says. It's going to be it's impossible you to find them. You're never going to find who you're looking for. Which in this poem, and they were looking for something, but they never found it. But in the show, if you watched it. The director did find what he was looking for, so Fitz was wrong there. And I'm not going to tell you exactly where they were. I want you to go back and watch this episode. But in this episode, they actually had 3 hidden Mickeys. I'm not going to tell you where they were, but they were in that episode somewhere. There could have been more, but there was at least 3 I caught. And then like little references again, like they mentioned Fox News. They've done it before, but yeah, nothing to explain there. But Mac and Gabe have like an interaction just before going into that containment module. Was called. Mac calls him Gabe Ironside, which is it's a show about a paralyzed cop, which okay, he's paralyzed, so I don't see the connection there. but then Gabe replies saying Black Kojak, and Kojak is actually a show about a lollipop loving detective that was pretty much down to earth, as far as I understand, to what Mac, a bald lollipop loving detective, just like what Mac is kind of. So yeah, but yeah, for predictions, the only thing I can think of is, which I'm not gonna steal what people are saying because I did my own research on this and. But the main theory going around is this new Inhuman that is related to the Senator Nadir that she wants. It's her brother, and she doesn't exactly know what powers it's gonna be and everything like that. but this ongoing theory is that he's going to be the Inhuman Grid from the comics, which it's there are similarities, but the main stuff that a lot of people are talking about is that Agent Shield cast an Indian actor that just called Man, and in the guest list he is pretty high up for just being called Man. So there must be more to that story to what it is that we're being led on to, but in the comics, Grid is an Indian, and what's called Senator Deer is an Indian, so it would make sense that he is somehow connect, like this Indian actor is actually connected to Senator Nadir some way, shape, or form. Maybe, I don't know, but what I found out, I looked up some stuff and rewatched the episode of when they first appeared in episode 3 of Uprising, and Agent Shield loves to do foreshadowing, and they've done some things before, which they actually referenced Lincoln in this episode, saying that he was the only person Shield knew of that had electrical powers that could cause an blackout. Which we know that Inhumans can replace other Inhumans' powers, similar to what Reyna had seeing the future powers, whereas Charles was the replacement of Reyna and had basically death-seeing powers. So it's possible this new Inhuman has electrical powers like what Lincoln did have. So yeah, but the whole entire episode was actually dealing with EMPs, and that was the cause of the actual blackouts, which they've done this before as well. In the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were referencing Yo-Yo's powers with the whole entire slingshot rockets, where they were shot one way, but then they came back and basically came back to destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. in a way. Which Yo-Yo's powers, she has to run, and then comes right back. So that's technically what Slingshot is actually Yo-Yo's code name in the comics, which they could be doing that with what's called the whole EMP, because in the comics, Grid's powers actually is EMP-like. There actually is one of his powers is EMP, pretty much. So comment down below what you think thought of this episode and what you want to see in the future